Yes boys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an awesome day. In the last video I was using the Smithscript cirque, the throw-in backhanded blade, and I enjoyed that so much I've decided to look into these weapons a little bit more. I've upgraded the Smithscript great hammer as well as the axe, and I've turned it into a fire and ice themed build. I'm still playing into the throwing attacks on these builds like I did in the last video. You can see they've got much longer range than the cirque had. That was much more suited to close range attacks, whereas these two weapons have got a much longer throw and are much more viable at long range for those long range throwing attacks. Really cool stuff. I'm using Eruption on the great hammer, and then on the axe I'm using the Divine Beast Frost Stomp that you get from killing the Lion Dancer at the start of the game in the first Legacy dungeon. As well as this, I'm using the Frozen Lightning Spear, and then I'm also using the two new Mesmer incantations on the build. It just suits a fire and ice theme. We're going to be getting some big frost procs and then resetting that frost with the fire, and it just fits for a bit more of an interesting theme with the build rather than just looking at the throwing aspect of the weapons. I'm using the Smithing Talisman to increase the damage on our throwable attacks, and I'm still playing into the guard counters using the shield. But that's it for now guys. Let's take a look at the invasions and see how we get on with these new weapons. I've been training guys, I've been training. I'm in that gym, I'm lifting them weights and I'm getting ready for the Olympics. I'm taking part in the Olympics guys, the throwing hammer event. I'm sure this should be an Olympic sport, bit of axe throwing. Definitely in Norway, isn't it? It's a national sport in Norway, bit of axe throwing. That's what I was thinking when I made this build. I just wanted to go to the Vikings and throw some axes with them, you know what I mean? But basically, I got the idea for this from the last video. I was using the Smithscript cirque, and that weapon was so much fun. It was obvious that these throwing weapons have got a lot to offer. I'm really liking the Smithscript weapons. Even now there's a few that I've still not tried out. There's a shield, there's a spear. Is there a dagger as well? I think maybe there's a dagger, I'm not sure, but there's, like I said, there's still a few that I've still not tried. But for this one I wanted to focus on the hammer and the axe, just because visually I think it looks really nice together. You've got, you know, similar shaped weapons, similar move sets. You've got a large and a smaller version of it, so I thought it really suited. As well with the shield, you know, I just think a shield and a hammer or a shield and an axe on a build always just looks really cool and makes for a nice play style. So yeah, look at this, the throwing attacks on these weapons. These are much more viable at long range. It's a much more viable option when they're at long range. With the Smithscript cirque, the backhanded blade, that was very short, you know, it was very good. It was extremely good for chase downs, and it had like a boomerang quality on it where it actually came back to you. That I did find out during one invasion in particular. It actually boomerangs back, so if you miss them initially it can hit them on the return. You could see there we got the host but we died. I'll take that all day long. Invasions are getting hard, man. Invasions are getting hard. If I kill the host but I die, that's a win in my books. But anyway, the Smithscript cirque was much better suited at short range. But these two weapons, the hammer and the axe, like I say, you know, they've got a long range on them, so they're really good for long range harassment. It can be hard to hit, especially if you lock onto your targets. If they see it coming, it's quite easily dodgeable. But if someone's healing at long range, or if someone's casting a spell at long range, or if someone's just not paying attention, it can be really good for a bit of poke damage, especially with that talisman that increases the damage on our throwable attacks. And it's also quite good for chase downs, not so much on the axe. The axe actually only has a throwing attack on the R2 if you stood still. If you're running with the axe and you try and do an R2, it doesn't throw it, it just does a normal heavy attack. But the great hammer, if you are running with that and you do an R2, that does a spinning running throw with the hammer. So it's actually a really good option if you're chasing someone to use that. But it has a longer range if you stay still and you charge it. It does this really cool spinny animation. Like I say, it looks like an Olympic sport, like you're throwing. You know, you throw in the shot put, not the shot put, what's it called? The ball and chain. You know, the ball and chain where you swing around on the spot and you launch it. Olympians are really good at it. So it's kind of like that. That's what I'm saying when I say I'm training for the Olympics, because, you know, it's like an Olympic sport, isn't it? But yeah, so it's really cool, man. Really cool stuff. Really nice weapons. I'm really liking these weapons. They scale really well with strength faith, which suits the build. I've got them both flame infused. Actually, I tell a lie, I've got the Great Hammer Flame Art infused, and the axe is cold infused, just because I wanted the fire and ice theme on the build. So the axe isn't Flame Art infused, it's cold infused, but I'm still getting half decent damage returns on it. I did that more just to suit the theme of the build with the fire and ice. So yeah, getting good damage returns, good scaling, especially on the Flame Art. The Great Hammer's putting out some good damage. So yeah, it's quite good choice of weapons for this build overall, really. It's really making good use of our stat allocation. I really wanted to play into the fire and ice theme a little more on this build rather than just with the weapons, so that's why I've decided to use the Frozen Lightning Spear as well as Mesmer's new incantations. It just fits the whole theme, you know, we've got fire and ice on our weapons, so I really wanted to use these new fire incantations, the Mesmer incantations, and then Frost, the Frozen Lightning Spear, I'm pretty sure is one of, if not the only incantation, minus the Dragon Breath, which I weren't going to use on this build. But I think that's the only incantation which causes frost build up. I might be wrong, pretty sure I'm right on that one. But yeah, so it made sense just to include that on the build. Now look at this example here for long range harassing, like I said earlier. 674 damage on that attack. Not bad at all. 671 damage on a long range throw on the weapon. And look at this, follow it up with an eruption when he gets too aggressive. Bish bash bosh, thank you very much. Where is your host? Come here, Mr. Host, you're about to follow your friend into the ground. But yeah, so the incantations suit the build basically with the fire and ice. Same with the Ashes of War. Eruption seemed like quite a good option to put on the Great Hammer. Always handy putting eruption on any kind of large weapon. I was actually quite disappointed with the DLC not giving us any more Ashes of War that are more suited to larger weapons. I think, what did we get? The new lion flip thing, the lion claw flip, and maybe one or two others that you can put on heavy weapons, but besides that there weren't much in terms of the Ashes of War. But you know, I'm happy with Eruption, it works really well, it does some insane damage. And then on the axe I decided to go with the new incantation that you get from defeating the Lion Dancer, the Divine Beast Frost Stomp, I think it's called, I think that's right. The Beast Frost Stomp that you get from the Lion Dancer at the start of the game. Now, I don't know what the difference is between this and the Hoarfrost Stomp. I don't think there's much difference, it doesn't feel like there is. If anything, this feels like it's a much shorter range than the Hoarfrost Stomp. I think you might be able to charge the Divine Beast Stomp. I've not actually tried it. By the way, the horse there really caught me off guard. I weren't ready for him coming out. I looked really confused then. But I didn't know he was in there, and then he ran out and he absolutely scared the life out of me. But yeah, like I said, the Divine Beast Frost Stomp, I think maybe it does a touch more damage, you can charge it, but I really don't know what the difference is between that and the Hoarfrost Stomp. I don't know if I'm justified in using it, but it's new, it's Frost, so I stuck it on the build because why not? You know what I mean? Why the hell not? And look at this blue here in this invasion coming in with these crazy weapons. Everything's going a bit mental in the invasions at the minute. Everyone's kind of catching on to all these crazy new spells and weapons, and everything's broken and everything is doing insane damage. So like I said earlier, you know, just like this invasion now, if I kill the host and I die, I do not care. I killed that host, so that is a victory in my books. You know, invasions are hard at the minute. Invasions are hard. They're a hell of a lot of fun. I'm not complaining. I am not complaining. I am loving the game currently. But they are hard. With all this new thing, all these new broken bits of kit, all these new spells, things are a little bit mental, and I think it's only going to get worse in the next couple of weeks as people start catching on more and more. But I'm still going to be enjoying it, so don't worry about that. But I just think we need a patch sooner rather than later to calm a few of these things down. I think that goes without saying, we need a patch just to level things out a little bit. But until that happens, I'll still be enjoying myself. Nice kill on the summon there. Not much clothing on, but she was giving me a little bit of aggro with the old Bloodhound step, keeping a distance. So fair play. You can see as well I'm still playing into the guard counters with this build. I've still got the guard counter talisman on. I've still got the new reflective tier in my flask, the counter tier for guard counters. So even with these weapons, I'm still getting a lot of damage on the guard counters. I'm really enjoying that on this build. I think that on this build from now on is going to be a mainstay. I just think it's a great playstyle for PvP. And like I said, the damage you're getting on it is really good, so can't argue with that. My playthrough with this build has been going really well as well. I've been getting well and truly stuck into it. I've actually made it up to the final boss. No spoilers there, but I've had a couple of goes at him, and it's a little bit crazy. It's a little bit mental, but it's all fun and games, guys. It's all fun and games. I'm just happy to have made it there, and I think I've explored thoroughly enough. I'm sure there's a few little things I've missed, but all that takes is a little Google afterwards, and then I'll backtrack and go and find anything that I've missed, and make sure I get all the weapons and stuff like that. But I've actually started thinking about which build to take into the DLC next and do a playthrough with. And I've got 2 or 3 builds in mind that I think I want to do it with next, just because there's some bits that I'd like to add to these particular builds that I think would suit really, really well. I'm just not fully decided on which one to take. I think it's between 2 or 3, but we'll see. We'll see in the coming weeks. You could see the close invasion, close one. We died, but we had a lot to deal with. We had a white mask spamming us with the River of Blood, but I managed to take out the summon, so I'm okay with that. Again, you know, invasions are hard. You've got to get those victories wherever you can. I know I will be doing. If I kill a summon and I die, I'm not bothered. That is a little mini victory in my book. No, but fair play to those two. They handled me quite well. Put a lot of pressure on me, which is what they should be doing really in that instance. And you can see here another example of a pretty insane weapon. I'm not sure what it's called, but I've seen plenty of it on YouTube. Everyone's using that one. It's doing a lot of damage with that crazy Ash of War, and you just get people spamming it like this. So if you take your eyes off them for 1 second, you're going to get a big spiky sword stuck in your head and then pulled out, and it's going to cause you a lot of pain. It's not going to be very nice. It's going to do a lot of damage, and then you can be guaranteed that he's going to follow it up with another one. So this is what I'm saying, you know what I mean? You've got to be on your toes. Death can come very quickly. Just keep your wits about you. Do whatever you can. Now you can see the host here is getting a little bit excited. He's got me low health, but he's separated himself from his summon, so all it takes is 1 healing flask. I draw him in a little bit more, and then I know that eruption is going to do a lot of damage, and there we go, 1 shot. Now them two were handling that invasion quite well, but then the host got himself a little bit giddy, and he made that mistake which allowed himself to get killed by the big Ash of War on my big old hammer. But GG's boys, good invasion. Just a little mistake from the host there, but I'll take that any day of the week. Now I'm here in the land of the golden sheep, and I've got this new duo to deal with. Started things off in this one with the axe. That's one of my tactics on this build. I usually start with the axe rather than the hammer. That's because I'm trying to get a frost build up early on. I'm trying to get a frost proc as soon as I can in the invasions for a big chunk of damage. Then I can switch to the fire to you know, reset the frost, and then I can restart the process. But it doesn't always play out like that. Sometimes I just end up switching to the hammer, and I kind of lose track of whether I'm trying to frost them or fire them. But either way, you know, they're both doing some good damage. You saw on that summon there, I managed to get a good kill with the Fire Serpent, the Mesmer incantation. That's really good when they're low health. Really good for finishing them off if they're on the run or if they're going to try and get a heal off. That's really good at picking them off and getting securing the kill. But after I got him, the host went on a little run back to the bonfire, and he's trying to summon his friend back in to help him. I couldn't get him in time, and he managed to summon his friend back in, and then we was here for a while, you know. These two made it quite hard work just hanging around this grace, not really giving me an opening to get in there. There was a little bit of lag going on as well, which didn't help, but eventually, again, the host gets himself a little bit excited. He kind of separates himself from the summon, and that allows me to make a move on the host. You can see now he's getting confident behind his shield, backing off a little bit there, but he's staying in the fight here, which is his downfall. I swing into him, get that big chunk of damage, and then it's an easy finish there with the jumping attack. You can see a little bit of lag there. I'm not sure if that played into the kill, but either way I'll take it. But that was the last invasion of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Fire and ice with the Smithscript hammer and axe. Take it easy, guys, and I'll see you all on the next one.